Are ordinary Kenyans today at the heart of government? Do ordinary Kenyans have fair access to the basics? Are we being honest? Are we accountable to those who put us here? To determine the success of devolution, all we need to do is answer these questions. Let me begin by saying that on my part I have been privileged to have overseen the establishment of devolution. I am proud that we, working together, have lifted by the goodwill and participation of ordinary Kenyans right across the country, have been able to change much and in a very short period of time. I want to thank both levels of government for working hard to make devolution a success. And let me also insist that without the commitment of ordinary Kenyans right across the country, none of us would have a success story to tell. I am grateful for the work that we have all done together, and indeed I am humbled by the energy and patriotism that I have seen also in these past few years. The efforts of all must be recognized, but each of us must also account for his part. So let me make myself perfectly clear. Devolution ranks at the very top of my administration's priority list. And that's why we fully support it, knowing that it promises a future of shared prosperity for every Kenyan. Indeed, despite the calls for additional money, we need to recognize that our deeds have matched our words. By the time the next budget is read, we will have transferred more than R1 trillion to 47 county governments. That is at least double the constitutional minimum of 15% of shareable revenue that the Constitution recognizes. The transition arrangements for our people and the identification and transition of assets and liabilities are close to being complete. The facilitation of county governments has been effected through the National Capacity Building Framework for county governments. And also, the critical oversight functions of the National Treasury, the Senate, the Controller of Budget, and the Auditor General have ensured that systems and persons are also accountable and transparent. Sure, over the period, some have been left unhappy by findings of impropriety and financial mismanagement. But in fact, these findings, I believe, only reflect the fact that the system which track the spending of public money are in good working order. That is how we keep leaders honest and accountable, and that is how we serve the Kenyans who sent us here, and that is indeed how we must continue to make a success of devolution. We have also established intergovernmental mechanisms to support devolution, and through these we have seen better consultation than was at the beginning, and closer cooperation between national and county governments. It would be idle to pretend, of course, indeed as Munya has said, that it has been smooth sailing. We have had our disagreements indeed. We have had our differences, but that's life in a democracy. We need to just pick up and move on. And truth be told also, working relations between my government and the counties has largely been warm. I am pleased, especially by the spirit of cooperation that has existed between the two tiers of government in the face of the troubling drought, for example, which parts of the country have had to endure. The infrastructure laid on by many of the counties in terms of boreholes, water pans, ambulances and so on has saved lives. On the part of the national government, the substantial emergency funding provided through the Ministry of Devolution, Ministry of Water, the Department of Livestock, and our investment and social safety net program, as well as medical infrastructure, have eased the burden of this disaster on our people. That is a clear sign of close cooperation. In this, as in many other instances, the national and county government are working together to save lives and to bring development, growth and jobs. Indeed, Kenyans across the country have benefited from our partnership in healthcare. Together, We have improved medical service delivery. Maternal deaths and infant mortality rates have fallen, proof that the joint free maternity program between the national and county government does work. The medical equipment scheme, in which nearly every county has played a part, has given Kenyans access to life-saving screenings for cancer and other diseases, and we will continue to work together, because the bottom line for all of us, ladies and gentlemen, is that when we work together, Kenyans will definitely do better. That, ladies and gentlemen, does not mean that we have not had challenges. One of the challenges that we share together has been the persistent doctors' strike. We are all committed to a fair resolution to this dispute, fair to the Kenyans who pay for medical services. It must be fair to the doctors. It must also be fair to other public servants. Doctors occupy a very special place in our republic, alongside other public servants, the military, the police, civil servants, all who save and protect Kenyan lives. Doctors have our respect. But we also need to clarify about the consequences of their strike. The better off still have access to doctors' care, while poorer Kenyans must do without. Some of these doctors are still practicing in their own private clinics. There is no fairness in that. But it is also clear to me that the doctors' grievances will not be addressed by creating new grievances of their own. Because quite simply, two wrongs have never, ever made a right. There is a better way to do this. Fairness and compassion are at the heart of the medical profession. But other Kenyans also have legitimate concerns. Fairness to you as doctors cannot come at the expense of fairness to other Kenyans. It must be remembered that yours is a calling. Your duty is to serve all, to protect and to care for all. My government wants you to have the very best conditions, and not just for you, but for your patients as well. Yet our aim to bring world-class care to Kenya cannot be realized immediately. You must remember that we still remain a developing country with a long way to go. We're not going to be able to achieve what you want overnight. Right now it seems to me that the doctors should pay attention to our national circumstance, and it seems to me that they should remember the higher duty to protect life. It seems to me that it would be wise for them to be guided by patience and practicality. And I need to say here quite clearly that if this round that they are now engaged with our religious leaders fails, we will be in a bit of a problem with them. And it's very clear. And we will sort them out. This one, no. Having said that, I want to commend the clinical officers and nurses who continue to turn up to work every day. Your service is appreciated by a grateful nation. You know, you have to recognize, I'm sorry to deviate, you have to recognize, we are paying these people and we have offered these people more money than even doctors in the private sector receive. An intern today is being offered more money than a medical practitioner working at Nairobi Hospital, Aga Khan Hospital, Mata Hospital. Kwani hii watu wanaona sisi ni wajinga namna gani? It cannot be. And only for working 2 hours a day in a government hospital, and then they run to do private practice in their clinics. This is blackmail, and we are not going to entertain it. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to point out a big challenge that is going on around us. It is having a big impact on the country, counties, and households. The Last Mile project connecting Kenyan households and businesses to electricity is changing our lives. Kenyans who had never had the benefit of switching on lights in their own homes can now flip the switch. The electricity penetration has increased to nearly 60% now, from about 27% in 2013. That means better results for our children in our schools. It means our streets, our towns, our homes are safer. It means many small businesses can stay open longer. This is what transformation looks like. This is what building communities also looks like. We have also managed to sharply reduce the blackouts that were once so common. More reliable access to electricity for more Kenyans. This is benefiting county economies and our national development. I urge all governors and county governments to strongly support our efforts and to help your constituents take advantage of this vital program. I also want to commend very heartily the good work that has been done by county governments, the governors and their officials, as well as members of county assemblies who have taken their work seriously. Together, you have delivered services needed by our people, and on behalf of all Kenyans, I want to thank you for the good works that you have indeed undertaken. That work has gone well because by and large people of goodwill have accepted a basic truth. Both levels of government are distinct but ultimately complementary. The Constitution has delineated functions for the two levels of government and has clearly outlined the powers and operations of each. National government has been tasked with policy formulation and standard setting, service delivery in a number of key areas. Service delivery in a number of key areas is the province of our county governments. This division of roles is designed to achieve operational efficiency, and we would serve Kenyans well if we respected that division of labor and let the Constitution remain as our guide. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing truly worthwhile ever comes easy. Devolution is no exception. We have challenges with which we must deal. Kenya continues and remains indivisible. Out of many people, of different regions, religions, different tongues, and ethnic communities, we have forged a nation. But yet time and again we see ethnic polarization and discrimination in some counties. There is not one county that is not multi-ethnic and multi-religious. How can it be that some of us still refuse to embrace every Kenyan? After all, no single group has a monopoly on solutions or ideas or excellence. The matter is particularly pressing as the election draws nearer. It is our duty as leaders to remind every Kenyan that someone who does not share your mother tongue or your religion can ably represent your interests. It is our duty as leaders to bring Kenyans together and not to divide them. It is our duty to build our communities and our nation and not to tear it apart. So it is particularly unpleasant to see, as the elections approach, new cases of intimidation and even violence to shape local political dynamics. Every public servant at county and national level has a special responsibility to root out this kind of conduct wherever it may be found. I have pledged to do my utmost to ensure that Kenyans are protected from intimidation, incitement, and violence, and I think it's time for the governors to join me in quite explicitly committing to this campaign to protect Kenyans from those who would do harm to them. The coming general elections will be robustly contested, especially at the MCA and governor level. Hata sisi na wengine tutapigana, lakini it is for us, all of us, to act and speak privately and publicly, in ways that honor our country. Don't let the words of our anthem that we sing every day that tell us, Kenya inastahili heshima, sisi tuongee heshima. Do your words and actions, especially this year, bring honor to this republic. Kenyans and the world are watching us as leaders. It is time for us to show that our leadership is equal to their expectations. It is time for Kenyan leaders to truly honor the republic. For myself, and indeed I will endeavor for the party that I lead, to look forward, and we do look forward, to a free, fair, credible and democratic process, and indeed we are ready for the elections in August. We call upon national and county officials across the country and all parties to work with the IEBC in an open, transparent manner that supports Kenyan democracy but does not undermine it. It is important to say this because it is up to us as leaders to lead. We are the ones who are called upon to defend our democracy. So I ask you all, and not just the leaders gathered here today, but those also watching or listening at home, as well as those who hope to take leadership positions next year. Let us all work together, ensure we follow the law, and let us all work for transparency, peace, stability, and unity of our country. Our democracy is precious. Let's show Kenyans that you are worthy to lead by protecting and honoring that democracy. And let me today close by joining all the governors here and all those present in paying tribute to a leader who honored this republic. In this case, I speak of the late Governor Nderitu Gachagua, a dedicated public servant who served with distinction and whom we mourn. May the good that he did long outlive him. Governors, ladies and gentlemen, the truth is, devolution is a great journey whose end is the freedom and prosperity of the people of this great country, Kenya. We have begun the journey, but we are not yet at its end. I ask God's blessings and His guidance for all of us who have had the privilege to be chosen to lead our people on this journey. May He light our way, may He give us the courage always to keep going, however rocky the path. I say God bless you and God bless Kenya. Asante sana.
Hapo, Your Excellency, it will be fine, Your Excellency. We request you most humbly to help us launch the Council of Governors Strategic Plan and also the performance